Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Dramatis Personae. This is the show, the only show on the internet, which gets a bunch of amateur actors together to read through an original Star Trek script, which has been specially edited for this show. And this evening, we're going to be doing the best of both worlds, both parts, yes, but that's because we have been doing this for a whole year now. So we were brought together by coronavirus, and we've been doing this for a whole year. And in order to celebrate that, we've got a very special guest with us this evening. As you may know, for the past few episodes, we have been raising money for SAGE. And SAGE is an organization that works in the States for LGBT older adults. So what I'm going to do is hand over to Jonathan Barrio, who works for SAGE, who will give us a quick update on what they're up to, and then we will carry on with the show as normal. Jonathan, welcome aboard what can only be described as the Enterprise.
Thank you so much for that incredible welcome. I really appreciate it. Y'all, thank you so much for having me here today to talk about the work that we do. SAGE is the largest LGBT nonprofit organization founded in 1978, created to serve our LGBT older adults, to protect them, to advocate for them, and to enrich their lives. What that looks like is legal work, advocacy, fundraising, and so much more to build up our LGBT older adult population. We have two brand new centers in New York City, one in the Bronx, one in Brooklyn, where we subsidize housing for older adults. We have a SAGE Care training system as well, where unfortunately we've realized that SAGE cannot build enough housing for every LGBT elder who needs those services. So we go out into our community and partner with assisted living facilities, long-term care facilities, and train their entire staff in how to treat and how to speak to and how to care for our LGBT older adults and give them the dignity that they so deserve. We do that because something that we found throughout the history of our organization is that some of our pioneers, our LGBT pioneers who were there at Stonewall, who were there, who started our movement, who were some of the biggest activists and advocates in our community's history, are now seeing themselves thrust back into the closet as they enter these final stages of their life, whether it be in retirement or assisted living, and giving and we wanted to make sure that that's something that didn't have to happen anymore by giving them the tools that they would need to live fully enriched lives. When you talk about SAGE's advocacy work and our work in legal, something that we're very proud of is that SAGE was able to pass the only LGBT bill that was passed in the Trump years from 2016 through 2020, and that was the Older Americans Act, which included language that supports LGBT elders. Again, just to stress that one more time, this is the only piece of legislation that passed in the last 4 years during the Trump administration that was beneficial to our community and something that we're very proud of. All throughout that, SAGE has also started a very unique capital campaign called our SAGE Strong Resiliency Fund, which was a direct response to the COVID-19 pandemic that has so raged not only our community, but the world. The LGBTQ community has been adversely affected by the pandemic, and we unfortunately are much more susceptible to COVID-19 in many ways, especially our LGBT elders, some who live with HIV and others who don't, but are still very affected by the disease. The work that y'all are doing and supporting us and being able to fund our work is allowing us to go into our communities and make sure that, again, that we are serving our community, making sure that our elders are living these enriched lives and advocating for them, protecting them, and giving them all the tools that they need to truly be who they are and live fully productive lives. So to all of you, thank you so very much for having me on and representing SAGE and having this for our organization. We really, really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so very much.
Well, thank you, Jonathan, and thank you to Sage for the support that you're giving the people who've stepped before us. We stand on their shoulders. We wouldn't have the rights and the privileges that we do today without the sacrifices they made. And it's only right that we make sacrifices back for them. And that is why, if you look in the comments, which I'm assuming are below, nobody's told me otherwise, but if you look down there, you'll see that there's a link where you can click and you can make a donation, however small, to Sage to make a difference in the lives of the people who have stood on this path before us. Thanks once again, Jonathan. We really appreciate that. And I personally, as a 44-year-old gay man, I'm looking forward to my retirement. So, you know, I'm pretty close to it at this stage. Again, thank you, Jonathan. Let's introduce the cast for this evening's episode. Right at the top of my list, I have one Robbie Lawton.
Oh gosh, hi everyone. I'm Robbie, and I'll be playing Admiral Mbop Hansen.
Nice. And then I have Maxim Rex.
Hi there, I'm Maxim Rex, and I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Data.
Which is weird because you do kind of look like Kirk this evening.
Kirk was not available, so I had to play Data.
Fair enough. We have the effervescent Cheryl.
Hey everyone, I'm Cheryl, and I'm going to be playing Lieutenant Worf.
You need to be a bit fiercer than that, I think. Can you give me some more Klingon on that?
I'm going to be playing Lieutenant Worf.
That's better. That's much better. Excellent. And then we have Mr. Bloomer. Show us your bloomers.
Thanks for that intro. Hello, I'm Paul, and I'm playing Captain Picard.
Well, you're not just playing Captain Picard. I know, spoilers, but who else are you playing?
The Locutus of Borg, I think is the correct way it should have been said, but Locutus of Borg as well.
Nice. So we have a cute ass of Borg. Nice. Then I have Ben Church.
Hello, I am playing Commander/Captain, back to Commander, William T. Riker.
Excellent. An identity crisis in the making. We have, the lovely Sarah Horton.
And I'm playing the Thorn and Riker's side, Lieutenant Commander Shelley.
And rightly so. I mean, she comes in and she kicks some butt, and she needs to, because people aren't taking it seriously. One of my favourite people in the cast, we have the ever-patient Steffi.
Hello, I'm Steffi, and today
Excellent.
also Gleason.
You are playing Lieutenant Gleason. Then the person who keeps this show on the road, stuck together and possibly working, we have Casey Lowry.
Hello, I'm playing Guinan, and also Dr. Beverly Crusher, and also the computer.
So you are having your very own threesome this evening.
That's right.
Excellent. We have one Randall C. Brown.
Hi, I will be playing Geordie LaForge today. There we go. All right.
Excellent. We have a newcomer, Mr. Ryan Green. Speak for yourself, sir.
Hey, I'm going to be playing Chief O'Brien tonight and attempting an Irish accent that has been described as upsetting.
I mean, that's very much the goal that we aim for here at Dramatis Personae. Welcome aboard, and try not to get too bored standing in the transporter room just waiting for something to happen. And then we have one Zach Coates.
Good evening. I'll be playing Troy, the counselor.
That is on many levels disturbing, and also a fantasy, I think. So I'm going to be playing Ensign Wesley Crusher, and then most importantly, being the voice of sanity throughout this evening's episode, we have one Lita Chrisman.
I will be narrating the sanity is never guaranteed nor implied.
Okay, I mean, good disclaimer. I'll make sure we add that to the show notes. That is us. Remember, you can make a donation at any time in the notes below. If you give enough money, we'll stop. but you do have to tell us that's what we're going. That's why you're giving the money. Okay. So if you give $200, we will stop the show, and you don't have to watch anymore.
Hey,
Okay.
David, before we get started, we've got a few donations already.
Hey,
Yeah.
talk to me.
Yeah, we've got $20 from Robbie Lawton. We've got $10. $10 from Kat Burns, and $20 from Sarah Horton.
It never ceases to amaze me, Carl, how generous our cast are on this show. Not only do they turn up week in, week out, and go through the slog of reading out these scripts with me, they also actually pay for the privilege. Have you noticed that? Yeah, amazing. Right. Why don't I chuck over to our Sanity Not Guaranteed narrator, and we'll kick off The Best of Both Worlds, Part 1.
The teaser. The Enterprise drops out of warp as it approaches a planet.
Captain's log. Captain's log. Stardate 43989.1. The Enterprise has arrived at the Jure 4 in response to a distress signal from the Federation's outermost colonies.
In the transporter room, Riker enters, meeting LaForge, Data, and Worf. O'Brien is at the console.
Anything from the surface?
Commander Worf, I'm afraid we cannot hear you.
No, sir. There have been no communications from the colony for over 12 hours.
Sensors picking up any signs of life?
None.
The surface environment is safe for transport, Commander.
Riker acknowledges as they move into transport position. He nods to O'Brien, and they dematerialize. On the planet's surface, the away team materializes in the middle of a dirt field.
Mr. O'Brien, verify that these are accurate coordinates for the New Providence colony.
Coordinates verified, sir. You're at the center of town.
The away team stands on an empty site where the colony should be. There is now a giant crater, as though it has been scooped out and taken away. The Enterprise is in orbit. Another starship, transport class, has joined them.
Right. Captain's log, Stardate 43992.6. Admiral Hansen and Lieutenant Commander Shelby of Starfleet Tactical have arrived to review the disappearance of the New Providence colony. No sign remains of the 900 inhabitants.
In the ready room, Picard and Riker speak with Hansen and Shelby.
The truth is, hell, we're not ready. We've known they were coming for over a year. We've thrown every resource we have into this, but still.
Then you're convinced it is the Borg?
That's what I'm here to find out. The initial descriptions of these surface conditions are almost identical to your reports from System J25.
Commander Riker wrote those reports. He agrees with you.
Commander Shelby took over Borg tactical analysis 6 months ago. I've learned to give her a wide latitude when I want to get things done. That's how I intend to operate here.
My priority has been to develop any kind of defense strategy.
Obviously, nothing we have now can stop them.
We've been designing new weapons, but they're all still on the drawing board.
We expected much more lead time. Your encounter with the Borg was over 7,000 light years away.
If this is the Borg, it would indicate they have a source of power far superior to our own.
I'd like to see the colony site as soon as possible, Captain.
It'll be dark there in 30 minutes. We've scheduled an away team for dawn.
Number 1, why don't you show the commander to your quarters?
It's our poker night, Admiral. There's always an open seat for you.
Another time, Commander. Your captain and I have a lot to cover. But rumor has it Commander Shelby's played a hand or two.
Riker exchanges a look with Shelby, who grins as they exit. Hansen smiles.
Keep your eye on her, Jean-Luc. She's one very impressive young lady.
You seem rather taken with her, JP.
When Shelby came into tactical, every admiral's uncle had a take on this Borg business. She cut through it. She put us on track.
Picard moves to a teapot, pouring.
Earl Grey.
Please. She'd make you one hell of a first officer.
I already have one hell of a first officer.
Don't tell me he's going to pass up another commission.
One's available?
The Melbourne. It's his if he wants it. Hasn't he told you?
He'll make a fine captain, JP.
Well, you may want to tell him that. We're still waiting on his decision. You know, this is the third time we've pulled out the captain's chair for Riker. He just won't sit down. Let me tell you something, Jean-Luc. There are a lot of young hotshots like Shelby on their way up. Riker could suddenly look like he's standing still next to them. He's hurting his career by staying put. If I were you, I'd kick him in the rear end for his own good.
Lieutenant Shelby's quarters, Riker shows Shelby in.
I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but we've tested the sections of the Enterprise's hull that were damaged by the Borg. There were some unusual magnetic resonance traces.
A Borg footprint?
That's my theory. I'll see if it holds up tomorrow. I've reviewed your personnel. I'll be assigning Mr. LaForge and Mr. Data to accompany me on the away team.
I've already assigned them to the away team, and I'll be with you as well, Commander.
Of course. I appreciate any assistance you can offer. Tell me, Commander, is serving aboard the Enterprise as extraordinary an experience as I've heard?
Every bit.
Good, because I intend to convince Captain Picard that I'm the right choice for the job.
Job? Which job?
Yours, of course. I'm sorry. I heard that you were leaving.
If I were, I'm sure you'll be the first to know. Poker's at 1700 hours in my quarters, deck 8.
He exits. In Riker's quarters, Troy is dealing 5-card stud. Wesley, LaForge, Riker, Data, and Shelby sit around the table.
Got another queen in the hole, Data?
I'm afraid I cannot answer that, Wesley. And as you are a newcomer to the game, may I say it is inappropriate for you to ask. I will buy another card, Counselor.
Troy deals Data his last card.
No help there.
Hold. Again.
Wesley throws in his chips. Troy deals him a 3rd jack.
3 jacks, looking for back, for the handsome young ensign.
Data folds. Shelby puts her chips out and gets a worthless card.
Pair of deuces stands.
Riker throws in his chips and gets a card that continues his straight flush.
Flush. Possible straight flush. Your bet, Mr. Crusher.
I'm in for 10.
He throws in a pair of chips. Shelby studies Wesley carefully and then throws in her 2 chips to stay in, but the tension is clearly between Riker and Wesley. Riker gives him his best poker face.
Paul.
Now it's time for the long pants. There's your 10 and 100.
He's got the straight flush, folks.
Not necessarily. Commander Riker may be bluffing, Wesley.
I don't think so. Fold.
With 3 jacks? What are you kidding? Wesley, you may get straight A's in school, but there's a lot you need to learn about poker.
The attention turns to Shelby, who looks at Riker. They look at each other for a long moment.
Well, I've only got 2 pairs, but I've got to see your whole card. I'll call.
She puts in her chips. Riker blinks, looks down at his card, and turns it over. It busts his straight flush. He was bluffing. Wesley groans and hangs his head.
You got him.
Riker and Shelby's eyes meet. She collects the winnings. Thankfully, in the transporter room, O'Brien is at the controls as Riker and LaForge arrive together. LaForge carries a work kit.
Mr. Data and our guest appear to be tardy.
Sir, Commander Shelby and Data beamed down to the surface an hour ago.
On whose authority?
On hers, sir.
Riker exchanges a look with Geordi as they get in position on the transporter. On the planet's surface, Shelby and Data examine exposed rock strata with their tricorders as Riker and Geordi materialize.
Morning. Early bird gets the worm, eh? We've got some interesting results.
Commander Shelby, walk with me, Commander.
LaForge and Data exchange a look.
Early bird. I believe Commander Shelby erred. There is no evidence of avifaunal or crawling vermicular life forms on Druid 4.
That's not what she meant, Data. But you're right. She erred.
I'm sorry, but I woke up early and I saw that a weather system was moving in. It could have affected the soil readings.
So without any regard to the risk of coming down alone,
Really, Commander, if we ran into the Borg here, 2 extra bodies wouldn't have made a hell of a difference, now would they? We had 3 hours before the storm front hit, less than 2 hours now. Data was available. I took him. We came. I don't see your problem.
my problem, Commander, is I expect to be notified before there's a change in my orders.
Noted for future reference. Do you wish to hear my report, sir?
Go ahead.
The soil contains the same magnetic resonance traces. That's our footprint. There's no doubt anymore. It is the Borg.
Later, we see the Enterprise still in orbit. The transport ship is gone.
Captain's log, stardate 43993.5. With confirmation of the Borg's presence in Federation space, Admiral Hansen has returned to Starbase 324 to discuss strategy with Starfleet Command. Lieutenant Commander Shelby remains on board to continue tactical preparations.
In the ready room, Riker gives a report to Picard.
I've also ordered a standing yellow alert. All Federation and Allied outposts have been warned. Ops will continue to monitor long-range sensors. I've assigned Data, LaForge, and Mr. Crusher to work with Commander Shelby.
Good. You've covered all the bases. What's your impression of Shelby?
She knows her stuff.
She has your full confidence?
Well, I think she needs supervision. She takes the initiative a little too easily, sometimes with risks.
Sounds like a young lieutenant commander I recruited as a first officer.
Perhaps.
Well, what the hell are you still doing here?
Sir?
You've been offered to Melbourne.
I've decided not to pursue that commission at this time.
She's a fine ship, Will.
Yes, but she's not the Enterprise. With all due respect, sir, you need me, particularly now.
Indeed. Starfleet needs good captains, particularly now. Reconsider your decision.
Are you telling me to leave, Captain?
I'm telling you to look at your career objectively. Will, you're ready to work without a net. You're ready to take command. And, you know, the Enterprise will get along just fine without you.
Riker looks hard at Picard. In 10 Forward, Troy and Riker are sitting at a table.
What am I still doing here? Deanna, I pushed myself hard to get this far. I sacrificed a lot. I always said I wanted my own command, and yet something's holding me back. Is it wrong for me to want to stay?
What do you think?
Maybe I'm just afraid of the big chair.
I don't think so.
The captain says Shelby reminds him of the way I used to be, and he's right. She comes in here full of drive and ambition, impatient, taking risks. I look at her and I wonder whatever happened to those things in me. I liked those things about me. I've lost something.
You mean you're older, more experienced, a little more seasoned?
Seasoned. That's a horrible thing to say to a man.
I don't think you've lost a thing, and I think you've gained more than you realize. You're much more comfortable with yourself than you used to be.
Maybe that's the problem. I'm too comfortable here.
I'm not sure I know what that means. You're happy here, happier than I've ever known you to be. So it comes down to a simple question. What do you want, Will Riker?
In engineering, Shelby, Riker, Geordi, Wesley, and Data look at a monitor showing an acoudogram, a graphic representation of the Borg ship.
A manipulation effect in the Borg ship's subspace field. A definite pattern at 4.8-minute intervals during your first confrontation with them.
Might indicate high output auxiliary generators kicking in.
One theory is that their systems are decentralized with redundant power sources located throughout the ship.
That is a reasonable conclusion. Borg technology has given each member of their society the ability to interface and function collectively. It is likely they have constructed their ship with the same philosophy.
You knock out one generator and another one takes over without interruption.
What kind of damage would we have to do to shut them down?
Projections suggest that a Borg ship like this one could continue to function effectively, even if 78% of it was inoperable.
And our best shot barely scratched the surface.
LaForge moves to a monitor and presses panels that put up several design schemes.
Well, from what I've seen, I can't believe any of these new systems can be ready in less than 18 months, Commander.
We've been projecting 24.
Is there anything we can do here to adapt to our current defense systems?
We'll have to go through the specs again, but I don't know. My mind's turned to clay.
Mine too.
Shelby moves to the computer, calling up specs.
I think we should look at modifying the plasma phaser design.
Riker notices the excessive fatigue on everyone's faces.
Commander, I think we should call it a night. That's an order. We'll reconvene at 0500.
Sir, if you'll allow me to continue with Mr. Data, who does not require rest.
You need rest, Commander.
If we have a confrontation with the Borg without improving our defense systems.
If we have a confrontation, I don't want a crew fighting the Borg at the same time they're fighting their own fatigue. Dismissed.
In the observation lounge, on the monitor, Admiral Hansen addresses the senior staff.
1900 hours yesterday, the USS Lalo departed Zeta Alpha 2 on a freight run to Sentinel Minor 4. At 2200 hours and 12 minutes, a distress signal was received at Starbase 157. The Lalo reported contact with an alien vessel described as cube-shaped. The distress signal ended abruptly, and she's not been heard from since.
Mr. Data, how long would it take to get there at Warp 9?
1 hour, 17 minutes, sir.
Make it so.
Data exits.
We're coming with every available starship to assist, Captain, but the closest help is 6 days away.
We'll try to keep them occupied until you arrive.
I know you will. Hansen out.
All hands stand to battle stations.
Commander Shelby, what is the status of your defense preparations?
Mr. LaForge has a plan to modulate shield mutation. Hopefully that'll hold them off for a while.
At the same time, we'll be retuning phasers to higher EM base emitting frequencies to try to disrupt their subspace field.
What's your assessment of the potential effectiveness?
It's a shot in the dark, Captain, but for now it's the best we can do.
Dismissed.
On the bridge, the crew stand at their stations. Shelby is also on the bridge.
Sir, reading unidentified vessel just entering sensor range. Bearing 210, mark 151.
Hail them, Mr. Worf.
No response, sir.
Move to intercept.
Aye, sir.
Sir, the vessel has already changed course to intercept us. Approaching at warp 9.3, entering visual range.
On screen, magnify.
It is the Borg cube.
Mr. Worf, dispatch a subspace message to Admiral Hansen. We have engaged the Borg.
End of Act 1.
Now, I don't know about you, but I bought the soundtrack to this years ago. And so now whenever I hear those lines, all I can hear is the building crescendo of it's just one of the best soundtracks that you've heard. It's really sad that I can hear the music as we're saying this. In the meantime, let's very quickly talk about Sage. One of Sage's recent projects has been to produce a report looking for solutions for LGBT New Yorkers aged 50 plus. And one of the things that they've found is that there are widespread disparities in the health, well-being, economic security, caregiving, and social connections amongst the over 50s, but that's even more pronounced for LGBTQ older people of colour and transgender older people. So mental health and physical health disparities are due to the lack of competent inclusive healthcare and lifelong experiences of discrimination. So LGBTQ people are more likely to be disabled, have poor physical mental health, use alcohol and tobacco, and are more likely to be HIV positive. So all of these come together to make this an increasing challenge for the older population. There's greater economic insecurity, largely as a function of all of those things we've just mentioned. Of course, that makes it more difficult to earn money. It makes it more difficult to have that income to keep you secure. So nearly 1/3 of LGBTQ older people live at or below 200% of the federal poverty level. So, I mean, we're talking really don't have access to resources compared with just a quarter of the non-LGBTQ people. And then we have the isolation and disconnectedness from services due to thinner support networks. So as you can see, this is actually like a tiered process here. Because you've had a harder life, you're less likely to have the resources, and because you're less likely to have the resources, you're less likely to be able to access new resources. So this report goes on to make a number of recommendations to improve the lives of LGBTQ older people in New York. And this is just an example of the fantastic work that Sage is doing for their clients. And we'll talk more about them later. But meantime, cast, I have a couple of questions for you. Because this is our 1-year anniversary, we are going to do a couple of trivia questions in these breaks, just to keep things moving along, but to also give us a break from having to read scripts for what is actually quite a long episode. So, and really is the first person to shout out an answer here who gets the point. In what episode are the Borg first seen? Is it A, the neutral zone, B, Q Who, C, the best of both worlds, or C, emissary?
B, Q Who.
Okay, well, Robbie gets that point. Robbie, you can't answer the next question. Otherwise, you're just going to win all of this. You know, we know how good you are. So, question 2. What do the Borg inject into beings being assimilated to begin the process? Is it A, trimethylxanthine, B, nanoprobes, C, antibodies, or D, aluminum? Or correct, aluminium. Well done, Paul. Point for Paul there. Paul, you can't answer the next question. If you guys take yourself off of mute, you've got a chance of stopping Umbop from winning. What is 7 of 9's dead name? Is it Annika Hansen, Admiral Hansen, Sydney Hansen, or Robbie Hansen?
Annika Hansen.
Now I'm wondering if she's related to Admiral Hansen.
Could be.
A point, but I think that was Casey. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
In the Voyager episode Unity, which I'm sure you all remember off the top of your head, where had Riley Frazier been assimilated? Was it A, a science vessel in the Beta Quadrant, B, at Wolf 359, C, at an outpost along the Federation Romulan neutral zone, or D, in an exploration vessel in the Gamma Quadrant?
C. That's my guess.
You said what there?
I said C.
C is not the right answer.
I didn't think so. I've never watched Voyager, so.
Wolf 359.
Yeah, it was Wolf 359. Yeah.
It was. Now, does anybody want to explain that to me without doing spoilers?
Can you without spoilers?
Well, not really. I mean, the key point is how did he end up in the Delta Quadrant after what happens next?
Oh, that's a great question.
You're thinking in such 4-dimensional terms, David.
Right, and last one for this break. After re-individualizing the Borg Q, formerly known as 3 of 5, he's returned to the planet where he'd crashed to be rescued by other Borg. His individuality corrupts his new shipmates and they lose control of their ship. Who took charge of this ship of disoriented Borg? Was it A, the Breen, B, Sealer, C, Law, or D, the Cardassians?
D, War.
More.
Who I knew that was Robbie. Who was the other?
It was Ben.
It was Ben.
Point for both of you.
Aw.
Because I'm feeling generous, and it is our 1 year anniversary. Well done, everybody. I think it's to get back to the action, and I believe that our heroes are facing what can only be described as a cube of epic proportions. It's over to you, Lita.
Act 2. The Enterprise and the Borg ship face each other. Both ships have dropped out of warp. On the bridge.
Captain, you are being held.
I am.
Yes, Captain, by name.
Data, is it the same ship we faced at J25?
Uncertain, Commander, but the dimensions are precisely the same.
On screen.
The interior of the Borg ship appears on the view screen. A great chamber with thousands of individual Borg.
I am Jean-Luc.
Jean-Luc Picard, Captain of the Starship Enterprise, Registry NCC 1701D. You will lower shields and prepare to transport yourself aboard our vessel. If you do not cooperate, we will destroy your ship.
You have committed acts of aggression against the United Federation of Planets. If you do not withdraw immediately,
You will surrender yourself or we will destroy your ship. Your defensive capabilities are unable to withstand.
Picard signals Worf to mute the transmission.
What the hell do they want with you?
I thought they weren't interested in human life forms, only our technology.
their priorities seem to have changed.
Channel open.
We have developed new defensive capabilities since our last meeting, and we are prepared to use them if you do not withdraw from Federation space.
In engineering, LaForge takes readings.
Captain, the shields are being probed. I'm modulating mutation.
The Borg ship sends out their tractor beam, but the Enterprise's shields manage to deflect it on the bridge.
Captain, the Borg are attempting to lock on to us with their tractor beam.
Load torpedo bays, arm phasers, lock coordinates on the source of that tractor beam.
Shield status?
Holding, sir.
The nutation modulation has them confused.
They have the ability to analyze and adapt, Commander.
The ship shakes violently.
Shield modulation has failed. They've locked on.
Shields are being strained. 90%, 80.
Trying to recalibrate nutation. Damn.
Shields have failed.
Fire all weapons.
As the tractor beam grabs the Enterprise, the ship fires phasers and torpedoes in an effect to break free. The weapons have no effect.
Their subspace field is intact. New phaser frequencies had no impact.
Reverse engines.
Full reverse. We're not moving.
Fire at will.
Launching torpedoes. Phaser spread continuing.
Still no damage to the Borg vessel, sir.
A second Borg beam cuts into the Enterprise.
Warning, outer hull breach.
They're cutting into the hull. Engineering section.
Geordi, evacuate engineering.
In
Computer.
engineering,
Evacuation sequence.
people run to the exit.
Sealing doors to core chamber.
Come on now, let's move it, people. Let's move it. Let's go. Let's go.
The door is sliding down. LaForge ducks out just in time with it.
Decompression danger. Deck 36, section 4. Sealing main engineering.
Back on the bridge.
Data, fluctuate phaser resonance frequencies, random settings, keep them changing, don't give them time to adapt.
The Enterprise fires another furious round, this time with fluctuating frequencies. Finally, the ship shakes as the Borg tractor beam breaks off.
The tractor beam has been released.
Warp 9, course 151, Mark 330. Engage.
The Enterprise warps away. The Borg ship follows quickly. LaForge enters the bridge.
They are in pursuit, Captain.
Maintain course.
Damage report, Geordi?
Hull rupture in main engineering. The damage is pretty heavy. We lost a lot of good people down there.
11 dead. 8 more unaccounted for, Captain.
Repair teams to engineering. Seal hull breach.
They didn't get to the core. I can control functions from here.
Now approaching the Paulson Nebula, sir.
Drop to impulse. Take us in, Ensign.
Enterprise glides into the purple swirling fog.
The field is getting too dense, sir.
Data. Analysis of the nebula, Clyde, Mr. Data.
82% dilithium hydroxyls. Magnesium, chromium. It should provide an effective screen against their sensors, Captain.
Mr. LaForge, prepare to reverse engines, full stop.
The Enterprise moves into the spiral cloud and disappears from view. The Borg cube slows at the cloud's periphery and stops.
The Borg ship is continuing scans, attempting to locate us.
Good. As long as they're looking for us, they won't hurt anyone else.
In the observation lounge, Shelby presents an analysis on the battle as Wesley, Geordi, Data, and Riker look on.
Time index 514. Data started to fluctuate phaser resonance frequencies. The Borg's beam breaks contact. Slow playback. Take a closer look, Commander. Mr. LaForge?
We see the attack in slow motion. The tractor beam winks in and out.
There's a 2% drop in power for an instant. But it is system-wide. The phaser frequency spread was in a high narrow band.
Conceivably, the ship's power distribution nodes are vulnerable to these frequencies.
If we can generate a concentrated burst of power at that same frequency distribution, I mean a lot more than anything our phasers or photon torpedoes could ever provide.
How do we do that?
The main deflector dish.
It's the only component of the Enterprise designed to channel that much power at controlled frequencies.
End program. Unfortunately, there's one slight detail. In the process, the blast completely destroys the Enterprise as well.
But if we could get further away, increase the deflector's range.
It could work. In the meantime, we should retune all phasers, including the hand units, to the same frequency.
Proceed. I'll inform the captain.
There is one other recommendation I'd like to make, Captain, or Commander. Separate the saucer section. Assign a skeleton crew to create a diversion.
We may need the power from the saucer impulse engines.
But it would give them more than one target to worry about.
It's too great a risk.
I'd like the captain to make that decision, sir.
Commander, I bring all the alternatives to the captain's attention. That'll be all.
As the others exit, LaForge lingers a moment.
I'm going to need to install higher capacity power transfers to the deflector dish, Commander.
How long?
Better part of a day.
Riker acknowledges and stands, still bristling about Shelby.
She gets a full head of steam, doesn't she?
She's a formidable presence, to say the least, but I'm convinced she can help us here, Commander.
I am too. Don't worry about it. I can handle Shelby.
Riker nods and they exit. In the ready room, the door chimes.
Come.
The door slides open and Riker steps forward. He smirks as he sees Shelby with Picard.
Come in, number one. Commander Shelby was just telling me of your concerns about her plan.
I'm sorry if she troubled you, sir. I have already informed her.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Number one, now is not the time. But the time may come when we are required to take greater risks. I want you to consider her plan as a fallback position. Make the necessary preparations.
Very good, sir.
Riker and Shelby exit the ready room. She moves to the turbo lift and he follows. In the turbo lift,
Deck 8, Battle Bridge.
The doors close.
Halt. Commander, you and I need to have a conversation.
You never ordered me not to discuss this with the captain.
You disagree with me? Fine. You need to take it to the captain? Fine. Through me. You do an end run around me again, I'll snap you back so hard you'll think you were a first-year cadet again.
May I speak frankly, sir?
By all means.
You're in my way.
Really? How terrible for you.
All you know is how to all you know how to do is how to play it safe. I suppose that's why someone like you sits in the shadow of a great man for as long as you have, passing up one command after another. Proceed to deck 8.
When it comes to this ship and this crew, you're damned right I play it safe.
If you can't make the big decisions, Commander, I suggest you make room for someone who can.
The door opens, and she exits. Later, the Enterprise continues to hide in the nebula as the Borg ship hovers over the swirl. Picard tours the ship as repairs continue. Senior staff huddle at the console and compare notes.
Captain's log, stardate 43996.2. The Enterprise remains concealed in the dust cloud, and to my surprise, the Borg have maintained their position, waiting for us to come out of hiding. I have no explanation for their special interest in me or this ship. We continue to prepare for our defenses in the inevitable confrontation, but I must admit, on this night I contemplate the distinct possibility that no defense may be adequate against this enemy.
10 forward. After going through engineering and signing off a report or two, Picard enters what looks like a dark and deserted place. The view out the windows is blinded by the nebula fog. Guinan lurks in a dark corner.
Trouble sleeping?
Something of a tradition, Guinan. The captain touring the ship before a battle.
Before a hopeless battle, if I remember the tradition correctly.
Not necessarily. Nelson toured the HMS Victory before Trafalgar.
Yes, but Nelson never returned from Trafalgar, did he?
No, but the battle was won.
Do you expect this battle to be won?
We may yet prevail. That's a conceit. That's a healthy one. I wonder if Emperor Honorius I wonder if Emperor Honorius, watching the Visigoths coming over the Seventh Hill, truly realized the Roman Empire was about to fall. Is this just another page in history, isn't it? Will this be the end of our civilization? Turn the page.
This isn't the end.
You say that with remarkable assuredness.
With experience. When the Borg destroyed my world, my people were scattered throughout the universe. We survived. As will humanity survive. As long as there's a handful of you to keep the spirit alive, you will prevail, even if it takes a millennium.
Picard nods. Suddenly, the ship shakes, and bright explosions appear through the windows.
Captain Picard, report to the bridge.
I'm on my way, Lieutenant.
On the bridge, Picard enters. Riker and Worf watch the view screen as the explosions continue periodically. The nebula lights up like a thunderstorm.
There's some kind of Jesus Christ. That's the one. There's some kind of magnetometric guided charges.
Status of shields?
Back to 48%, Captain.
Mr. LaForge, I may have to take us out of the nebula. I want all the power you can give me.
Engines are ready, Captain. Recommend we adjust shield harmonics to favor the upper EM band when you proceed.
Acknowledged.
The ship is hit.
Direct hit. Deck 9.
Damage report.
Structural latching system integrity breached.
Prepare to take us out of here, number 1.
Fire up the engines, half impulse until we clear the nebula, then punch it to warp 9.
Ready phasers. Load forward torpedo bays. Engage.
The Enterprise moves out of the nebula cloud. Immediately, the Borg ship follows.
Borg tractor beam is attempting to lock on.
Fire at will. Continue rotating shield frequency.
Shields failing. Tractor beam has locked on.
A Borg drone materializes on the bridge. It looks around, identifies Picard, and moves robotically towards him. Worf fires his phaser and shoots it down. Materializes. Worf fires at it, but this time its force field repels the phaser.
Sorry, I got distracted. It's no use. They've already adapted to the new frequencies.
Riker and Worf attack the drone, but it easily sends them both flying across the bridge. Suddenly, a third drone materializes next to Picard. It touches his neck with a robotic component, and Picard loses consciousness. The drones and Picard dematerialize.
The Borg ship is disengaging, leaving at warp speed.
Maintain pursuit.
Borg vessel has reached warp 9, 9.4, 9.6.
Stay with them. Riker to O'Brien, can you get a fix on the captain?
Negative, sir. There's some kind of interference. I can't lock in on his signal.
Senior officers, report to the bridge.
Sir, the coordinates they have set, they're on a direct course to sector 001, the Terran system.
Earth.
On the Borg ship, 2 drones escort Picard to a balcony in a massive chamber filled with thousands of drones. As Picard enters, they speak with 1,000 deafening voices.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard, you lead the strongest ship of the Federation fleet. You speak for your people.
I have nothing to say to you, and I will resist you with every last ounce of my strength.
Strength is relevant. Resistance is futile. We wish to improve ourselves. We will add your biological and technological disciplines to our own. Your culture will adapt to service ours.
Impossible. My culture is based on freedom and self-determination.
Freedom is relevant. Self-determination is irrelevant. You must comply.
We would rather die.
Death is irrelevant. Your structured cultures are working to facilitate our instructions, your societies. It has been decided that the human voice will be us in all communications. You be sure to read my voice.
On the bridge, everyone stands at their stations.
Commander, they are leading us into the heart of our own defenses.
Yeah, well, so far they haven't had any reason to worry about our defenses.
Commander, if the Borg stay at warp 9.6, we'll be forced to discontinue pursuit and power down in less than 3 hours.
2 hours, 40 minutes, and 3 seconds.
How soon before the deflector's ready?
We're close. A few hours, maybe? I know, I'll get it done in 2, but Commander, I'm going to need some serious power from the warp engines to make this weapon work. So far, we're just using everything we've got just to keep up with them.
Sir, we've got to get that ship down to impulse.
I'm leading an away team over there to get the captain back. We'll find a way to get them out of warp. Ensign Crusher, you continue to assist Mr. LaForge. Commander Shelby, you'll take the bridge and coordinate with Starfleet. Data, Worf, Doctor, you're with me.
Excuse me, sir, with my knowledge of the Borg.
Those are my orders, Commander.
Commander Riker, it is inappropriate for you to lead the away team. Until the return of Captain Picard, you are in command of the Enterprise. We're in a state of war, and your place is on the bridge.
Commander Shelby, you'll lead the away team. Make it so.
Shelby exits with the away team as Riker takes the captain's chair.
First Officer's Log, Stardate 43998.5. Our pursuit of the Borg continues on a core of the Federation. The devastation they could bring is beyond imagination.
In the transporter room, Shelby, Data, and Dr. Crusher wait with O'Brien as Worf arrives and hands out phasers.
These phasers have been retuned. Each has a different frequency spanning the upper EM band.
All right, a reminder. We only get to use each of these once, maybe twice. Before the Borg learn to adapt, don't fire until you have to.
What kind of resistance should we expect?
At our first encounter, the Borg virtually ignored us when we beamed aboard their vessel. Clearly, they did not consider our being there a threat.
That may change, however, if we start interfering with their plans. Shelby to bridge, away team ready.
I've had to get to the unmute button. We've got 58 minutes before we have to power down and disengage.
Understood.
Proceed. Commander, no unnecessary risks. Clear?
Very clear, sir. Shelby out.
We've matched warp velocity for the transport, Commander.
Energize.
On the Borg ship, Shelby, Data, Worf, and Crusher materialize and assume a defensive posture. The Borg take no notice, and many of the drones are in stasis. Occasionally, one walks by and ignores the away team.
Tricorder functions minimal.
Any signs of human life?
Inconclusive.
Worf continues to make adjustments on the tricorder. Dr. Crusher studies the gridwork structure.
Look at this. This is extraordinary.
They look up at an upside-down pyramid on the ceiling, pulsating with red light.
These appear to be some kind of power waveguide conduits, which allow them to work collectively as they perform ship functions.
There's no way to take out enough of these to disable them.
What if we look at this from a mosquito's point of view?
Interesting metaphor, Doctor. What is your idea?
If we sting them in a tender spot, they might stop for a minute to scratch.
Data and Shelby exchange a glance. Not a bad plan. They move into an intersection where they find a large conduit box.
Distribution nodes.
If we take out a few of these, it just might make them scratch.
Data acknowledges as Worf picks up something on his tricorder.
The captain's communicator. It is still activated.
Crusher to Picard, can you hear me?
Can you locate it, Worf?
This way.
Leads them down a corridor. In the ready room on the Enterprise, Riker stands at Picard's desk, speaking with Admiral Hansen on a terminal screen.
I strongly recommend redeploying all available defenses to protect Sector 001, Admiral.
We're moving to intercept at Wolf 359. We'll make our stand there. How much longer can you maintain pursuit?
22 minutes if they stay at current speed. If we can't bring them out of warp, we'll do as much damage as we can before we have to disengage.
Picard?
Nothing yet, sir.
On the Borg ship, Worf leads the way down a corridor with his tricorder. He stops at a series of large drawers that line one wall as the tricorder beeps furiously.
In here.
Data moves forward and pulls out the heavy drawer. Inside is Picard's uniform, folded neatly with the communicator visible.
Shelby to Enterprise.
Go ahead.
We found the captain's uniform and his communicator. We're resuming our search.
On the bridge, LaForge and Wesley enter from the turbo lift.
Stand by, Commander.
We're in business.
It'll burn out the main deflector, but it'll be one hell of a bang.
Radiation danger?
We're going to have to evacuate the entire forward half of the secondary hull and the lower 3 decks of the saucer.
I'll see to that.
She moves off the bridge.
Commander Shelby, we have only 17 minutes of warp power left. Do whatever you can to get them out of warp.
Acknowledged. Shelby out.
On the Borg ship, the away team moves cautiously into an intersection.
Let's take out some of these distribution nodes and see what happens.
Data fires his phaser at the top of the conduit box. Nothing. Then Worf and Data fire together. This time, the conduit box shorts out and sparks fly. The Borg begin to exit their alcoves and move dispassionately toward the away team. Worf and Data shoot out another conduit box. More drones exit their alcoves. Back on the bridge.
Sir, they've done it. The Borg ship is dropping out of warp.
Go to impulse.
Aye, sir.
Diverting warp energy to main deflector.
Move us to within 40,000 kilometers. Match velocity. Commence arming sequence. Increase deflector modulation to upper frequency band.
On the Borg ship, drones move in on the away team. Shelby and Data fire in one direction, Worf and Crusher the other. One set of Borg goes down, and another. But more come right behind, climbing over the fallen. The away team escape down a clear corridor.
Shelby to Enterprise. Encountering resistance. Prepare to beam us back on my signal.
They fire phasers at the approaching drones, but their Borg shields absorb the blast.
They're adapting to the frequencies.
As more drones exit their alcoves, we see Picard in profile.
Jean-Luc!
As he turns toward the away team, we see that half of his face is gone, replaced with machinery. He has been turned into a Borg drone.
Captain!
Worf bursts forward, trying to get to his captain, but he is repelled violently by a Borg aura around Picard.
Enterprise, get us out of here!
As the Borg ship sparks from the damage to the distribution nodes, they dematerialize. Back on the bridge, the away team enters from the turbo lift.
The captain?
We were unable to retrieve him, sir. The captain has been altered by the Borg.
Altered?
He is a Borg.
Riker reacts, stunned.
We'll go back. I need more people. We need to retune the phasers again. We'll get him out of there.
Commander, reading subspace field fluctuations from within the Borg ship. Looks like they're regenerating, restoring power. They could be capable of warp any minute.
Is the deflector ready?
It's ready.
Will, he's alive. If we could get back to the ship, I might be able to restore his...
This is our only chance to destroy them. If they get back into warp, our weapon is useless.
We'll sabotage them again if we have to.
We can't maintain power. We don't have the time. Prepare to fire.
At least consult with Starfleet Command. Get Admiral Hanston on subspace.
Relay that order, Lieutenant. There's no time.
Sir, we are being hailed by the Borg.
On screen.
I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over. From this time forward, you will service us.
Mr. Worf, fire.
To be continued.
Oh my God! Wow. So those of you who follow production of Star Trek, not necessarily this show, yeah, I too can hear the music. Yeah, and it just rises and rises. And, yeah. When they wrote this episode, they did not know how they were going to finish this. So there was a break between, the production break normally happens, and then they went back to write the episode, and they really had to think about what was going to happen next and how they were going to reset everything. So at this point in production, even the crew did not know how they were going to resolve this. And of course, we don't know because we haven't read the rest of the script yet. So that's cool. Talking of being injected with nanoprobes, let's talk about the impact of the COVID-19 vaccine on LGBT elders. That was the worst segue in history. The topic of COVID-19, according to SAGE member Alston Green, is looming in the minds of most people worldwide, especially as this pandemic has impacted older adults and minority groups in particular. Now, I should point out that Alston Green, I can see because there's a photo here, but he is an older gentleman of colour. And he says, many have met news of vaccine with skepticism. As an African American, I have also had reservations about the vaccine. Historically, the Tuskegee experiment and what happened with Henrietta Lacks gave me pause with such a rapid rollout of the vaccines and how it might impact me directly. Fortunately, seeing credible statistics shared by prominent African-American scientists and doctors gave me more confidence in the distribution of vaccines for employers and volunteers, and I was able to receive an inoculation. I completed the second regime of the Pfizer vaccine. I've had limited reactions to the injections. It does give me confidence that I have a chance of not succumbing to the virus. I will continue the recommended practices to avoid exposure. It is important for our demographic, LGBT elders, to get the vaccine, as many of us are exposed to pre-existing medical conditions. I encourage you to speak with your doctor and determine if this is best with you. And this is one of the things that SAGE is doing. It's providing older LGBT people with a voice in the middle of a crisis when we are at increased risk of some of what's going on. I too have had my jab, and I would like to encourage you to get your jabs if you're eligible in your area. And I'm due my second one in about a month's time, actually, so I should probably sort that appointment out. SAGE are providing voice and advice and support to the older LGBT people who are at greater risk and therefore need the vaccine more than ever. So it's just another of the exciting things that SAGE are doing. What I would like to do is remind you that you can make a donation. I believe there's a link there. It might be in the comments, which I think might be over there. We'll work it out. So give a small or large amount. You don't have to be a member of the cast to donate, but you know, that doesn't appear to stop us. What we'll do, I think, is we'll take a short break in the script, and we'll come back, do a couple of trivia questions, and then we'll go back to find out how we resolve the assimilation of Captain Picard. Welcome back to the Best of Both Worlds as done by Dramatis Personae. So there's a slight twist on the events. However, really exciting news. I've just been told that we have reached our $250 goal for Sage. And that we have a donation from Autumn, who gave $20, who's apparently a grateful audience member, presumably grateful that we just took a break. I mean, I know I am. And their comment is heart, praying hands, heart. So thank you very much, Autumn. You've hit us our goal. Let's see if we can exceed that before the end of the episode. But before we continue, let's have 5 more questions on our exciting trivia competition. So far, the scores are Robbie has 2, Paul has 1, Casey has 1, and Ben has 1. So it's all to play for, and by all to play for, I mean there is literally no prize except for the esteem of your peers. Let's go into question 6. First contact. What does the Borg Queen give Data to tempt him onto her side? Is it A, real emotions, B, real skin,
Real
C,
skin.
Oh, I see. We're not waiting for all the options now.
Your mother's a whore, Trebek.
Well, do you remember that scene where she reveals?
She blows on the skin.
Yeah,
I thought that I was waiting for like, I was waiting for like sexual favors to be an option.
He does that though.
Well, he basically has an orgasm when she blows on the skin.
Basically,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's not instantly for me, but you know, I'd like to experience that again.
Gives a whole new meaning to a blowjob. Yeah.
Functional after all.
And let me read out the answers, Randall, you cheat. But you can't answer this question. How does Lily Sloan describe the name Borg? Is it A, silly, B, scary, C, strange, or D, Swedish?
Swedish.
Paul got in there just a fraction of a second before you. You know, this is going to. I think this is going to turn into a bit of a cutthroat competition. So, number 8. Of the list of people I'm about to mention, whose spouse was killed at Wolf 359? Was it Miles O'Brien, B, Benjamin Sisko, C, Beverly Crusher, or D, Admiral Neshayev?
Benjamin Sisko.
Sisko.
I reckon Sarah got that one. And you're right. I'm assuming that many people lost their spouses at war.
Yes, but he was of note.
Yeah,
He was mad at Picard after.
that could have been a very long list, I think. Like Dawn, who lives just down the road in New Orleans. I mean, she lost someone, I'm sure. Question 9. 7 came aboard Voyager during the Borg's initial conflict with which species? Is it A, the Kazon Ogla, B, species 8472, C, the Ocampa, or D, the Klingons?
8472.
That one.
Robbie.
Yes. And they never get a regular name. They're just always 8472.
Yeah.
Star Trek Online gives them a name, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Look it up.
The Undine or Yundine?
Yeah, that's it.
Undine,
yes.
Yeah. Finally, in the Voyager episode Dark Frontier, what species designation is the current Borg Queen from? Is it A, 256, B, 125, C, 27, or 3, or D even, 512?
B, 125.
Correct, Ben. I'm impressed. That's an eye for detail right there. Right. We stand after 10 questions with 4 to go. We have Randall, Sarah, and Casey all tying on 1 point. We have Paul and Ben with 2 points. And out in the lead with his magnificent long flowing hair and his penchant for teen music, it is Robbie. Points. You're playing Admiral Hansen. Stop pretending like you don't know the joke. Let's go back to the bridge of the Enterprise, where Picard has just shot a laser down a camera lens, probably ruining it, and find out how we're going to resolve the best of the both worlds, part 2. Cue dramatic music.
Last time on Star Trek The Next Generation, a Federation colony has disappeared. With the help of the opportunistic Lieutenant Commander Shelby, who's gunning for Riker's position on the Enterprise, our valiant crew determined that the ominous Borg are to blame. After encountering the Borg, the Enterprise fled to a nearby nebula, where LaForge, Wesley Crusher, and Shelby devised a plan to evade the Borg cube awaiting them. Their plan fell through. Despite their efforts, several Borg drones beamed aboard the Enterprise and abducted Captain Picard. Riker, now a seasoned first officer ready for his first starship command, has struggled with a decision: to advance his career or stay under Picard's wing with his space-born family. With Picard gone, Troy has convinced Riker to step up to the plate and assume command of the Enterprise. We've just learned of the Collective's plans for Jean-Luc Picard. He is now Locutus of Borg, a singular voice through which the Borg can inform the Federation of its imminent demise through galactic assimilation. Resistance is futile. And now the conclusion. On the bridge of the Enterprise, the red alert continues. Locutus is on screen and Riker has his eyes locked on him.
Reflector power approaching maximum limits. Energy discharge in 6 seconds.
Worf is lost. Oh, firing, sir.
The main deflector dish glows, then erupts in a blinding beam that strikes the Borg ship. A force field absorbs the blast.
The Borg ship is undamaged.
Impossible.
Warning, warp reactor core primary coolant failure.
Can't maintain it much longer, Commander.
Warning, exceeding reaction chamber thermal limit.
Cease fire.
Shutting down warp engines.
They couldn't have adapted that quickly.
The knowledge and experience of the human Picard is part of us now. It has prepared us for all possible courses of action. Your resistance is hopeless. Number 1.
Roar stops. The silence is eerie, and the bridge crew is stunned. Riker never takes his eyes off Locutus. Later, Riker regroups in his quarters.
First Officer's Log, Stardate 44001.4. The Borg ship has resumed its course toward Earth. We are unable to pursue, pending repairs to the Enterprise.
In the observation lounge, Riker, Shelby, and the senior staff are speaking to Admiral Hansen on the view screen.
As we anticipated, the blast burned out our main navigational deflector. We also have damage to our shields and our reactor core.
We should be back up in 8 to 12 hours, Admiral.
Well, we'll miss you at the party.
The Enterprise will be there. Maybe a little late, but we'll be there, sir.
Your engagements have given us valuable time. We've mobilized a fleet of 40 starships at Wolf 359, and that's just for starters. The Klingons are sending warships. Hell, we've even thought about opening communications with the Romulans.
You realize, Admiral, that with the assistance of Captain Picard, the Borg will be ready for your defenses.
Lieutenant, a few years ago, I watched a freshman cadet pass 4 upperclassmen on the last hill of the 40-kilometer run on Danula 2. The damnedest thing I ever saw. The only freshman to ever win the Academy Marathon. I made it my business to get to know that young fellow. Oh, I got to know him very, very well. And I'll tell you something. I never met anyone with more drive, determination, or more courage than Jean-Luc Picard. There is no way in hell that he would assist the Borg. I want that clear.
Of course, Admiral.
He is a casualty of war.
Then we have abandoned all hope of recovering him.
In less than 24 hours, this armada is going to hit that Borg vessel with everything we can muster. Either they survive or we do. As for Picard, a great man has been lost. Your captain, my friend. Commander Riker, I hereby promote you to the Field Commission of Captain. The Enterprise is your ship now. Congratulations. I wish the circumstances were different.
Likewise. Good luck, Admiral.
To us all.
In the Borg operating room, the entity formerly known as Picard is lying on his back on a medical table. He is conscious as one Borg prepares to use a long probing implant device to add a biochip. Another Borg prepares a huge mechanical arm to attach. As the operation commences, his eyes close. The color in his human face begins to drain further and further away until he is ashen white. A single tear falls from the corner of his eye. In the turbolift on the Enterprise, Riker and Worf enter.
Mr. Crusher suggests we might design a chip that would automatically retune the phasers to a random setting after each discharge. Engineering.
That would be a great advantage.
We should also see if there's some way that we can neutralize their force fields. We've got to let them know that we can adapt too, Mr. Worf. We're no longer just fighting the Borg, we're fighting the life experience they've stolen from Captain Picard. Now, how the hell do we defeat an enemy that knows us better than we know ourselves?
The Borg have neither honor nor courage. That is our greatest advantage.
I hope it's enough.
In engineering, LaForge and Shelby are supervising repairs on the warp refactor.
Accelerator coils are responding normally.
Excellent. Forward shields at 58%. Aft shields, sensors must be down.
Checking. Sensors are fine. No, aft shields have completely failed. Damn it, auxiliary generators are out again.
Riker and Worf enter.
Just the man I need. We're having some problems with the aft shields. Generators going on and offline. I could really use your help, Worf.
How soon do we get underway, Geordi?
Still a couple hours, Commander. Shelby can fill you in.
LaForge and Worf exit. Riker and Shelby are alone.
The main navigational deflector is functional again. Sherborne and Barclay are running through the final testing sequence now.
The warp reactor core?
Reconstruction is proceeding normally. It's slow work. If we can nail down the shield generator problem, I agree with LaForge. We should be at operating capacity in 2 to 3 hours.
Good.
There is an uncomfortable moment of silence as they study each other.
Anything else, sir?
Yes. You did a good job on the Borg ship.
I didn't get Picard.
You stopped them. You gave us our shot.
Sir,
Commander, we don't have to like each other to work well together. As a matter of fact, I'd like you to continue to keep me on my toes.
Some might define that as the role of a first officer.
Damn, you are ambitious, aren't you, Shelby?
Captain Riker, based on our past relationship, there's no reason for me to expect to become your first officer, except that you need me. I know how to get things done, and I have the expertise in the Borg.
And you have a lot to learn, Commander.
Yes, sir.
Almost as much as I had to learn when I came aboard as Captain Picard's first officer. A fact he reminded me of when I commented on what a pain in the neck you are.
Yes, sir.
Data to Riker. Message from Starfleet, Captain.
Go ahead, Data.
Starfleet reports it has engaged the Borg at Wolf 359, sir.
On the bridge, Riker enters in a hurry from the turbolift.
Admiral Hansen on subspace, Captain.
On screen.
Hansen appears on screen. He's on a battle bridge at red alert. Reception is breaking up, and the camera is shaky. His ship is clearly in battle.
Admiral?
Fight does not go well, Enterprise. We're attempting to withdraw and regroup. Rendezvous with fleet.
The transmission ends suddenly, with a subspace hiss and static fills the screen.
Captain's log. Stardate 44002.3. Repairs are complete, and the Enterprise is warping to rendezvous with Starfleet at Wolf 359. Communications from the site of battle have been cut off, possibly due to Borg interference.
In the observation lounge, Riker addresses the senior staff.
Lieutenant Worf, everyone in this room shares my respect for your service to this ship, but right now I need your experience at tactical. Commander Data, I realize your very nature omits ambition. Nevertheless, I want you to know I seriously considered you as first officer.
Thank you, sir.
But this is not the time for change. I need all of you where you are, where Captain Picard always relied on you. I have been, reluctantly, forced to conclude that Commander Shelby, our expert on the Borg, is an ideal choice at this time for first officer.
The staff nods congratulations. On to business.
Based on our latest communication, we can assume that the Borg survived the fleet's attack. Your thoughts on our next encounter?
What about the heavy graviton beam we were talking about?
I've gone over it 4 times. The local field distortion just wouldn't be strong enough to incapacitate them.
Dr. Crusher and I have been working on an interesting premise.
With our recent experience in nanotechnology, we might be able to introduce a destructive breed of nanites into the Borg.
Nanites?
Robots, small enough to enter living cells.
How long would it take to execute that?
That's the problem. 2 to 3 weeks.
In 2 to 3 weeks, nanites may be all that's left of the Federation.
We have the new phaser adapters.
Maybe in concert with photon torpedoes, we can slow them down.
I'm sure Captain Picard would have something meaningful and inspirational to say right now. To tell you the truth, I wish he were here because I'd like to hear it too. I know how difficult this transition has been for all of you. I can take over for him, but I could never replace Captain Picard. Nor would I ever try. Whatever the outcome, I'm sure our efforts in the coming battle will justify his faith in all of us. Dismissed.
In the ready room, Riker enters, frustrated, not sure what the hell he's going to do. He looks at the captain's desk with no one behind it.
What would you do?
The doorbell chimes.
Come.
The door opens to reveal Guinan. She enters.
May I speak to you, Captain?
Actually, Guinan,
You know, Picard and I used to talk every now and again when one of us needed to. I guess I'm just used to having the captain's ear.
And sacrilege as it might be, she sits behind the desk in the captain's chair.
What's on your mind?
I've heard a lot of people talking down in 10 forward. They expect to be dead in the next day or so. They trust you, they like you, but they don't believe anyone can save them.
I'm not sure anyone can.
When a man is convinced he's going to die tomorrow, he'll probably find a way to make it happen. The only one who can turn this around is you.
I'll do the best I can.
You're going to have to do something you don't want to do. You have to let go of Picard.
Maybe you haven't heard. I tried to kill him yesterday.
You tried to kill whatever that is on the Borg ship, not Picard. Picard is still here with us in this room. If he had died, it would be easier, but he didn't. They took him from us, a piece at a time.
They study each other. Both feel the loss intensely.
Did he ever tell you why we're so close?
No.
Oh, well, let me just say that our relationship is beyond friendship, beyond family, and I will let him go. And you must do the same. There can be only one captain.
It's not that simple. This was his crew. He wrote the book on this ship.
If Borg know everything he knows, it's time to throw that book away. You must let him go, Riker. It's the only way to beat him, the only way to save him. And that is your chair, Captain.
She exits. After a moment, Riker slowly moves to the clearly labeled empty chair and sits down. He almost gets comfortable.
We're approaching the Wolf system, Captain.
On my way.
Enters the bridge from the ready room. The crew are at their stations.
Slow to impulse. Take us to the battle. Take us to the battle coordinates, Mr. Crusher. Yellow alert.
Sensors are picking up several vessels, Captain.
The fleet?
No active subspace fields. Negligible power readings.
Life signs?
Negative, sir.
Visual contact.
On screen.
The bridge crew reacts with horror as they see the wreckage of the Starfleet Armada. They pass by one dead ship after another.
The Tolstoy, the Kyushu, the Melbourne.
Riker bows his head briefly for the crew that might have been his. End of Act 3.
Wow, I don't know how to bring the mood up after that. So let me just remind you that Dramatis Personae are currently raising money for SAGE, a fantastic organization in the USA who raise money for and support elder LGBT adults. However, you don't have to just give money. You can also give time. And if you go to their website at www.sageusa.org and click on Get Involved, you'll see that there's a number of ways that you can actually make a difference. So you could volunteer at a SAGE Center in New York City. You could become an LGBT elder ambassador. You could do some online activism, or you could host a SAGE table. Now, let me tell you about hosting a SAGE table. Basically, you get to host a meal and a conversation with your LGBT friends and raise funds for SAGE. So if you are planning on getting back together with your community after what has been a very long break, certainly in the UK, we are not allowed to get together with our friends and family inside for another month. I say the UK. Actually, I mean England. I don't actually know what it's like in Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland at the moment. But then this is a fantastic way to get together and spend some time with people you love and make a difference for the older people in your community. And you don't have to be giving money. You just get to donate your time and what looks in the picture like a delicious plate of marinated tofu. So that's an option if you don't want to give some cash. Now we have the exciting finale of the trivia competition. So I hope everybody's ready. Oh, Robbie is back. I was literally just about to say, Robbie, are you actually there, or have you actually like turned into subspace static? But fortunately, so we have 4 more questions. Are we ready for this? Don't forget to turn your mute off, otherwise you won't be able to jump in. In the Voyager episode Collective, how many immature Borg, i.e. children, join the crew, not including the baby that hasn't been seen since? Presumably somebody dropped him in sick bay and just swept him up or something. Was it A, 5, B, 7, C, 6, or D, 4?
4.
Robbie is all over this like margarine on toast. Robbie, can you name them all?
One of them is Echep.
Echep and some others.
I don't know the others.
So, I mean, off the top of my head, and this is nothing to do with the notes in front of me, I think it was Icheb, Mizoti, Azari, and Ribi. Does that sound right?
There is twin boys and then a younger girl who left a couple episodes later.
Yeah. And of course, Icheb, spoilers for those of you who haven't seen Picard, it doesn't go well for him. However, in Picard, we do get to see Hugh. No spoilers. Right. Question number 12. In the Voyager episode Unimatrix Zero, where is Seven's friend Axum located in the real universe? Is it in the Delta Quadrant, the Gamma Quadrant, the Beta Quadrant, or the Alpha Quadrant?
Alpha Quadrant.
Good try, but not correct.
Beta Quadrant?
It is, in fact, the Beta Quadrant. Well done. Good guess. Well played, Casey, who's now on to 2 more questions. In the film First Contact, who was Ensign Lynch? And I have a technical problem with this question because one of the questions has actually disappeared. Bear with me 2 seconds. Was it the first crewman to kill a Borg in the movie? Was it an Enterprise E crewman assimilated by the Borg? Or was it a crewman who helped Worf and Picard dismantle the deflector dish?
He was assimilated by the Borg, and Picard shot him on the holodeck.
That's actually almost word for word what I've got written as my notes for that answer. Well played, sir. Well played.
Well, because wasn't it? Doesn't he have a confrontation with that woman from the surface about that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And she gets quite sarcastic. Yeah,
Yes,
I
she
mean,
does.
bitterly sarcastic. I mean, I wouldn't stand for that if I was him. Final question. And Paul, you're in a position where you could draw equal with Robbie. And so I am going to let you answer this final question along with everybody else, of course. In Voyager, what did the drone that was created with Seven's nanoprobes, the Doctor's mobile emitter, and Ensign Mulcahy's DNA call himself? Was it 1, 8, Q, or 0?
1.
Robbie just knows too much. I mean,
I also did a Voyager rewatch in the last year.
so round of applause for Robbie, everybody. Well done, Robbie. You got the clap and the admiration of the entire cast. And leaving on that high note with Robbie's victory secure, I think we return to a Starship graveyard. Lita?
Actually, Act 4 finds us as the Enterprise presses forward through the cemetery of dead ships.
Sir, sensors are picking up unusually strong eddy currents. Bearing 200, mark 211.
Data analysis.
It could indicate the course of the Borg ship, sir.
Ensign Crusher, set in a course that follows those currents. Commander Shelby, prepare to initiate your plan to separate the saucer section when we find the Borg.
Sir, I must remind you that Captain Picard was briefed on that plan. The Borg will be prepared for them.
I'm aware of that, Commander. In fact, I'm counting on it.
Crusher, Cartano, Gleason, report to the battle bridge.
Mr. Data, Mr. Worf, I have a special mission for you.
On the Borg ship, the ship drops out of warp. Locutus is escorted, almost like a pet dog, to the area where communication takes place. He is less Picard than he was before, more Borg. His facial color is gone. A huge Borg arm has been added. The view screen shows the Enterprise approaching.
Locutus of Borg, this is Captain William T. Riker of the USS Enterprise.
You may speak.
We wish to end the hostilities.
Then you must unconditionally surrender.
We are prepared to meet to discuss your terms.
It is unlikely you are prepared to discuss terms. It is more likely this is an attempt at deception.
Come now, Locutus. If Picard's knowledge and experience is part of you, then you know that I've never lied to him. You should also implicitly trust me, is that not so?
Picard implicitly trusted you.
Then trust me now. Meet to discuss your terms.
Discussion is irrelevant. There are no terms. You will disarm all your weapons and escort us to Sector 001, where we will begin assimilating your culture and technology.
Riker turns away from the screen and signals to cut off the transmission.
Mr. Gleason, can you pinpoint the source of the Borg transmission?
I can put you within 30 meters of it, sir.
O'Brien, report.
In the transporter room, O'Brien is with Data and Worf.
The Borg have adapted their electromagnetic field to prevent main transporter functions, sir.
As expected. Mr. Data, Mr. Worf, proceed as we discussed.
Aye, Captain.
Data and Worf each activate devices on their armbands. On the battle bridge, Riker turns back to the view screen to reopen communications.
Channel open, sir.
We would like time to prepare our people for assimilation.
Preparation is irrelevant. Your people will be assimilated as easily as Picard has been. Your attempt at a delay will not be successful. Number 1. We will proceed to Earth, and if you attempt to intervene, We will destroy you.
Then take your best shot, Locutus, because we are about to intervene.
Channel closed.
Reset subspace communications, scrambler code Riker 1.
Scrambler code Riker 1 acknowledged.
Shelby, report.
Shelby is at command on the main bridge.
Ready for separation.
Make it so.
Auto-sep sequence initiated.
The saucer section separates from the battle section of the ship.
Docking latch is clear. Separation complete.
On the battle bridge,
Source of velocity 100 meters per second and increasing, sir.
Open fire, all weapons.
Fire.
Locutus watches the saucer separation with a complete lack of surprise. The view screen scanners promptly focus on the battle section, and the board ship reaches out a tractor beam toward it.
Borg tractor beam attempting to lock on, sir.
Evasive maneuvers, pattern Riker Alpha.
Riker Alpha confirmed. They're ignoring the saucer section completely.
Just as you should, Captain. Ensign, evasive pattern Riker Beta.
Riker Beta confirmed.
Proceed to second phase, Commander Shelby.
Acknowledged. Fire antimatter spread.
Saucer section fires a spread of antimatter, exploding in a spectacular display toward the Borg ship. Locutus looks at the antimatter display with something resembling surprise. This does not compute. On a shuttlecraft, Data and Worf are in the cockpit.
Shuttle launch sequence confirmed. Departing Enterprise in exactly 3 seconds.
The shuttle leaves the ship, becoming part of the forest of antimatter pyrotechnics. Locutus studies what's happening. The Borg ship terminates the tractor beam aimed at the battle section. On the battle bridge,
The Borg tractor beam has moved towards the antimatter spread.
They might be picking up engine ionization from the shuttle.
Data, cut your engines. Take her in unpowered.
the shuttle moves through the antimatter field toward the Borg ship. The tractor beam sweeps by, just barely missing the shuttle. It moves up close and personal to the Borg ship. On the shuttlecraft,
Shuttle has penetrated the Borg electromagnetic field.
Understood.
The shuttle escape transporter should provide enough power to beam us onto the Borg ship from here, sir.
Proceed.
Worf moves out of his chair and joins Data by the transport unit as he punches some overhead keys, and they dematerialize. Cautiously through the cube toward Locutus. They blast away at the Borg nearby with their phasers. Locutus turns and Worf rushes him. Data continues to cover him with phaser shots at other Borg. Worf struggles against Locutus, who is easily as strong as he is. Data comes up and sedates Locutus with a hypospray. Data hits his armband, and they dematerialize onto the shuttlecraft.
Mission accomplished. We have him.
Firing shuttle thrusters.
The shuttlecraft exits through the Borg shield. On the battle bridge,
They're clear of the Borg field, sir.
Beam them out of there, Mr. O'Brien.
Locked in.
the Borg fire their cutting beam and obliterates the shuttle. In the transporter room, Data and Worf support the unconscious Locutus as they materialize.
Transport successful, sir.
Battle bridge, both sections of the Enterprise and the Borg ship hang quietly together in space.
Captain, we've sustained damage to the impulse drive. The saucer section is disabled.
Reading subspace field fluctuations from the Borg ship. Looks like they're getting ready to increase power.
Stand by, Mr. LaForge.
Aye, sir.
The saucer sections are sitting duck.
Prepare to draw their fire.
Captain, the Borg ship is moving away. It's resuming its course towards Earth, sir.
Rendezvous with the saucer section. Lay in a course of pursuit.
In sickbay, Picard is on an emergency medical bed.
There is extensive infiltration of microcircuit fibers into the surrounding tissue. His DNA is being rewritten.
Can you revive him?
I'd like more time to study the structural changes in the motor pathways.
We don't have more time, Doctor. Once he was wired into the Borg, they knew everything that he knew. I just hope it goes both ways. If we're lucky, he had access to everything we need to know about them, especially their vulnerabilities.
Crusher uses a hypospray to revive Picard. He stirs.
Jean-Luc, it's Beverly. Can you hear me?
Beverly, Crusher, Doctor,
Yes. Don't try to move.
I am on board the Enterprise.
That's right.
Picard sits up slowly.
A futile maneuver. Incorrect strategy number 1. To risk your ship and crew to retrieve only one man. Picard would never have approved. You underestimate us if you believe this abduction is any concern.
Locutus raises his robotic arm, and Worf levels his phaser at him.
There is no need for apprehension. I intend no harm. No harm. I will continue aboard this ship to speak for the Borg, while they continue without further diversion to Sector 001, where they will force your unconditional surrender.
On the bridge, Riker and Dr. Crusher look over Data's shoulder as he works at the science station. An oculogram shows some signal measurements.
Using multimodal reflection sorting, I've been able to detect a complex series of subspace signals between Locutus and the Borg ship.
That's how they're controlling him?
It is not just a matter of control, Doctor. The signals are interactive across a subspace domain similar to that of a transporter beam. I would hypothesize that these frequencies form the basis of the Borg's collective consciousness.
Can't we block them?
Possibly. But as you may recall, on several occasions, we have witnessed the Borg removing key circuits from injured comrades, no doubt separating them from the group consciousness.
The injured Borg immediately self-destructed.
That is correct, sir.
Cutting the link to Locutus might be fatal to the captain.
We have to find a way to reach him. We must know what he knows.
Without these interactive signals, it would only be a matter of microsurgery. I could do it, but as long as those Borg implants are functioning, there's no way I can separate the man from the machine.
Then perhaps there is a way I can access the machine, Doctor.
In sickbay, Worf and the two security men watch as Picard/Locutus examines the sickbay, scanning the technology. He comes to Worf and begins to scan him.
Worf, Klingon species, a warrior race. You too will be assimilated.
The Klingon Empire will never yield.
Why do you resist? We only wish to raise the quality of life for all species.
I like my species the way it is.
A narrow vision. You will become one with the Borg. You will all become one with the Borg.
Riker, Data, and Crusher enter.
The android, Data, primitive artificial organism, you will be obsolete in the new order.
As he scans Data, Crusher comes around and hypos him in the neck. He loses consciousness. Worf grabs him as he falls.
Take him to your lab, Data.
Shelby to Riker.
Go ahead.
Captain, the Borg have entered Sector 001.
The Borg ship passes by Saturn at impulse. On the bridge, later, Riker and Worf enter from the turbolift. Shelby is at command.
The Borg have dropped out of warp, sir. Jupiter Outpost 9-2 reported visual contact at 1200 hours, 13 minutes.
Planetary defenses?
Responding. No reports on effectiveness, but I can't believe that against the Borg.
Ensign Crusher at their current speed, when will they reach Earth?
27 minutes.
The soonest we could intercept?
42 minutes, sir.
Riker to Data, what's your status?
In Data's lab.
The initial cybernetic connection into Captain Picard's neural net pathways have been established. Mr. O'Brien is ready to process the Borg signal through the transport pattern buffer.
Make it so. With dispatch, Mr. Data.
Proceeding immediately, sir. Data out.
Data turns to reveal an open panel on his head. Picard Locutus is unconscious, stood in a containment device with transfers patched into his Borg parts. Data moves into position beside the unit, and Dr. Crusher plugs a cord into Data's exposed head panel.
The neural link will be established in 3 stages. Doctor, I suggest you closely observe Captain Picard's life signs. While at each stage, Chief O'Brien monitors my positronic matrix activity. Counselor, hopefully you will be able to determine whether I am reaching Captain Picard.
At what point should I shut it down if there's a problem?
I do not know. I have never done this before. Initiating first neural link.
Captain's vital signs are stable.
Positronic activity unchanged.
First neural connection is confirmed. I cannot report any significant access to the Borg consciousness.
He glances at Troy, who shakes her head. She cannot sense Picard. The Borg ship moves by Mars. Unmanned pods attack it, and the Borg ship destroys them easily. It moves on towards the familiar shape of Earth straight ahead. On the bridge,
It is confirmed. The Borg have broken through the Mars defense perimeter.
Enterprise now approaching the Terran system, sir.
Slow to impulse. Time to intercept?
23 minutes, 14 seconds, sir.
in Data's lab.
Second neural connection is confirmed. I still cannot report any significant access. Proceeding with the final link.
He pushes a series of panels, and this time the result is dramatic. There is a visible jolt to Picard.
Significant increase in premotor area and hypothalamus activity. His heartbeat is accelerating rapidly.
Sir, your submicron matrix activity is increasing exponentially.
Neural connections complete. I have access to the Borg subspace signals. Processing. Processing.
Data.
Stand by. Processing. Processing.
Data's head panel lights up like a Christmas tree.
Fascinating. The Borg group consciousness is divided into subcommands necessary to carry out all functions. Defense, communication, navigation. They are all controlled by a root command implanted into each.
Suddenly, Picard's Borg arm rises and attempts to disengage the connections on the biobed. A security officer charges forward, and the arm pushes them away easily. Data grabs the Borg hand and holds it back from the controls, using his extraordinary strength. After straining at both ends, Data wins by breaking the Borg arm off at the wrist joint. The severed Borg hand continues to move in Data's hand.
Data, I'm picking up increased neural activity in Captain Picard, localized in the prefrontal and parietal lobes.
The Borg may be trying to terminate their link with him.
Negative. The subspace signal configuration is unchanged. What is causing the increased neural activity is unclear.
No, it's not. It's him. It's Picard.
Picard reaches out with his organic arm and takes hold of Data, gently.
Troy to bridge. Data has made first contact with Captain Picard.
Can you communicate with him, Data?
I've been unable to create a neural path around the Borg implant, sir. It is Captain Picard himself who has somehow managed to initiate contact.
On the bridge.
Sir, the Borg have halted their approach to Earth.
I think we got their attention.
Time to intercept?
2 minutes and 4 seconds, sir.
They're worried. They're worried because we have access to Picard. Mr. Data, we have 2 minutes to figure out what we can do with it.
In Data's lab.
Sir, it is clear the Borg are either unwilling or unable to terminate their subspace links.
That may be their Achilles heel, Captain, their interdependency.
What do you mean, Doctor?
He's part of their collective consciousness now. Cutting him off would be like asking one of us to disconnect an arm or a foot. He can't do it.
They operate as a single mind.
One jumps off a cliff, they all jump off? Data, is it possible to plant a command into the Borg collective consciousness?
It is conceivable, sir, but it would require altering the pathway from the root command to affect all iterative branch points in the entire subroutine.
Make every effort, Mr. Data.
Sir, what command shall I attempt to plant?
Something straightforward, like disarm your weapon systems?
Visual contact with the Borg.
On screen.
Magnify.
Sensors reading increased power generation from the Borg.
Red alert. Load all torpedo bays. Ready phasers.
Aye, Captain.
Status of Borg weapons.
Their weapon systems are fully charged.
Data.
Attempting to reroute subcommand paths, Captain. Defense systems are protected by access barriers.
The Borg square off with the Enterprise one last time with Earth as the backdrop. They send out their tractor beam and the Enterprise shakes.
Borg attempting to lock on tractor beam.
Rotate shield frequencies. Data, report.
I am unable to penetrate defense systems command structure, Captain.
Try the power systems, Data. See if you can get them to power down.
Acknowledged. Attempting new power command subcommand path.
Shields have failed. They've locked on, sir. They're pulling us in.
Fire all weapons.
I cannot penetrate the power subcommand structure, sir. All critical subcommands are protected, Captain.
Then it's over.
Mr. Crusher, ready a collision course with the Borg ship.
Wesley turns in surprise, looking for confirmation.
You heard me. A collision course.
Yes, sir.
Mr. LaForge, prepare to go to warp power.
Aye, sir.
In Data's lab, Picard groans. He is still holding onto Data's wrist.
Sleep.
He's regaining consciousness.
Sleep, Data. It's Captain Picard speaking, not Locutus.
Sleep, Data.
He's exhausted.
Yes, Doctor, but if I may make a supposition, I do not believe his message was intended to express fatigue, but to suggest a course of action.
Borg cutting beam activated.
Mr. Crusher, engage.
Data to bridge. Stand by.
Stand by, all stations.
I'm attempting to penetrate the Borg regenerative subcommand path. It is a low priority system and may be accessible.
The Borg cutting beam reaches out to the Enterprise.
Warning, outer hull breach.
Sir, shall I execute evacuation sequence?
Negative, Mr. Worf. Mr. Data, your final report.
Stand by.
I can't, Mr. Data.
Warning, inner hull failure imminent on decks 23, 24, and 25. Decompression danger.
Suddenly, the attack simply ends. The crew of the Enterprise looks at each other in surprise. They were prepared to die only a moment ago.
Mr. Data, what the hell happened?
I successfully planted a command into the Borg collective consciousness. It misdirected them to believe it was time to regenerate. In effect, I put them all to sleep.
To sleep?
Yes, sir.
Status of Borg power drive?
Minimal power.
Electromagnetic field?
Non-existent.
Commander Shelby, take a team and confirm that the Borg are asleep.
Delighted, sir. Mr. Worf.
On the Borg ship, Shelby, Worf, and Gleason materialize. They examine the
Shelby to Enterprise, it's true. They're all in a regeneration mode. They're dormant, sir.
Any indication to how long we can keep them like this?
Checking.
Tricorder readings are fluctuating rapidly, Commander.
Shelby to Enterprise, there are indications here that their entire power net's about to feed back on itself. I'd say we're looking at a self-destruct sequence activated by the Borg's malfunction. Do you want us to attempt to disarm it?
Riker enters Data's lab.
Stand by.
There's no way to know what the destruction of the Borg ship will do to him.
We should also consider the advantages of further examination of the Borg and their vessel, sir.
I don't think so. Data, separate yourself from Captain Picard. Away team, get yourselves home. Mr. Crusher, upon their return, move us to a safe position.
Aye, sir.
The Enterprise moves away, and the Borg ship explodes. As the Borg ship blows apart, then he stands still. After a long moment, his eyes open and he smiles weakly.
Life signs are stable. The DNA around the microcircuit fiber implants is returning to normal.
How do you feel?
Almost human. Just a bit of a headache.
We'll get you to sickbay. We won't have any trouble getting these implants out now.
How much do you remember?
Everything.
Serving with you again, sir. Captain.
Picard nods, dismissing her. Shelby leaves.
Course to Station McKinley ready and laid in, sir.
Make it so, number one.
Riker grins and exits. Picard lifts his tea to drink but pauses. He looks out the window. The Earth is safe now, but there is a definite, incomplete thought here. Not an entirely happy ending. A man recovering, but not recovered. The end.
Wow. Well done, everybody. Another amazing production. Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Do we have to do it again?
Just a little bit at the end. I completely lost everything on my internet for like a minute. So give me a sec. Can we go back to... shit. Can we go back to the ready room on 74, please? Sorry about that.
All right.
74. Shut up, Adobe.
Bear with us 2 seconds. Are we live at the moment, sir?
We are live at the moment, yes.
Okay, so bear with me. Bear with us. We just had some technical problems, and we're going to pick up again as soon as somebody tells me they're ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
That ready room?
We're going back to the ready room, so Lisa, you run with it.
Fabulous. Later in the ready room, Picard's face is half bandaged, and he's back in uniform. With him is Riker, still wearing his captain's pips.
And Earth Station McKinley has advised they're ready to begin refitting the Enterprise.
Have they an estimated time for repairs?
5 or 6 weeks.
The doorbell chimes.
Come.
Come.
They glance at each other. Shelby enters. She moves to Riker.
Request permission to disembark, sir.
Riker defers to Picard.
Mission granted. They've picked a fine officer for the task force, Commander.
We'll have the fleet back up in less than a year.
She turns to Riker.
I imagine you'll get your choice of any Starfleet command, sir.
Everyone is so concerned about my next job. With all due respect, Commander, sir, my career plans are my own business if no one else's. But it's nice to know I'll have a few options.
I hope I have the fortune of serving with you again, sir. Captain.
Picard nods, dismissing her. Shelby leaves.
Course to Station McKinley ready and laid in, sir.
Make it so, number one.
Riker grins and exits. Picard lifts his tea to drink but pauses. He looks out the window. The Earth is safe now, but there is a definite incomplete thought here. Not an entirely happy ending. A man recovering, but not recovered. The end.
Well, the good news is that because this is Star Trek, Picard will never experience any side effects from this, and we'll never talk about it again, and the Borg are all completely dead forever. Or something. Or something. Really well done, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. Mark, do you want to press the button and send us to credits? We will be right back after these credits, where we will have a very, very brief after show. We're just going to ask one question, and then we're going to wrap for the night.
Wait. Are we not doing part 3, family?
What, you mean there's consequences? And welcome back to Dramatis Personae, where we have an absolutely exhausted cast who have just done an hour and a half's worth of some of the best television of the 1980s. I mean, come on. Who expected Data to be going hacking an entire other species' consciousness to solve the problem? Certainly not the writers when they wrote it. A quick heads up that our next episode is Our Man Bashir from Deep Space Nine. So for those of you who know that episode, it is basically James Bond in space. But it was also the longest film, it took longest to film on Deep Space Nine. So it took 9 days to film and just ran massively over budget. So it's worth bearing that in mind in next episode. We do expect people to go over the top and go over budget for this episode. We thought we would wrap up tonight by firstly mentioning Sage and saying thank you to all our fantastic contributors, whether you be actually on the cast or whether you be some of our long-suffering some of our viewers who have very helpfully and generously contributed. So Cat Burns, Autumn, and then of course our cast have in various ways donated quite large amounts. So that's $250 raised for Sage. You can still donate, comments over there, and you can find them at sageusa.org. Yes, so that's Sage. We have one final question for you all, which we're going to keep on the bright and cheerful because this does have the potential to go down a very black hole. So my question for you tonight, and we'll go in order of the people I see on my screen, is what for you would be the advantage of assimilation? And I'm going to kick off with Ben because he looks like he doesn't know.
No more social anxiety.
I mean, what could be less socially anxious than being everybody at the same time? Sarah, what do you got?
Because I don't want to go dark, we'll say never having to figure out what to wear.
I mean, you would look fantastic in latex with one of those ocular implants.
Well, of course. I mean, come on, look at me.
Well, and Picard Locutus got like some abs, some like little
He
metal
sure did.
abs added on.
He sure did
Could
get
get some of
abs.
those.
Yeah. Well, this is looking up already. Randall C. Brown, who, as we all know, looks fantastic in latex, but what do you have?
I could finally cancel my account with Spectrum and have a better internet connection, and and not be locked into a stupid monopoly that
Wait,
we have here.
do you have FiOS where you are?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
I mean, there probably is in LA, probably, but not here.
Womp womp.
I know.
Just casually location dropping there. Cheryl, I mean, other than automatically repairing your larynx after your hard work on this week's episode, what would the advantage of assimilation be for you?
I would know all of the computer stuff that I know nothing about now. I would know it all.
Nice.
It wouldn't be the dunce anymore.
Well, I mean, it would be great because, like, imagine you have a connection problem. You'd phone into, like, Borg customer service. That would be great. You're on mute, Randall. You're funnier when we can hear you.
I mean, you wouldn't have to phone in. I mean,
they would know.
They would know.
Wow. That's pretty proactive. Steffi, come on, what do you think the advantage would be of being assimilated?
Well, I'm exhausted, so I guess Borg don't get tired.
Well, they get to sleep.
But also, yeah, because I was as well. I struggle a lot with insomnia, so I'd also love to be able to just plug into an alcove in the wall and just.
That actually, now you mention that sounds pretty awesome. Regeneration cycle initiated for drone Steffi. Sorted. Next up, we have Max Kirk.
Free healthcare. I live in the U.S. and that might be the only way that we get free healthcare.
Well, it's funny you say that because one of the quotes was from Picard in that episode, was where he's going, "Oh, we just want to increase your quality of life," and it's like, yeah, explain that to the Yanks. Mr. Bloomer.
I was thinking about this. I was thinking, like, you probably, like, the same reason you'd probably have people wanting to be assimilated, and the same reason why people go to join cults and stuff like that. You know, they want to be a part of something greater than themselves. So, but anyway, apart from that, what I would want from assimilation, I really get paranoid about being left out or excluded from things. So the fact that I am everyone all at once and experiencing everything means I can never, ever be worried about that ever again. So that would be good.
No more FOMO.
Yeah, exactly.
Casey, come on. I mean, by the way, can we have a glimpse of your mortarboard again?
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, Casey is actually an academic librarian for her job. So
I have to go to commencement every semester and wear this.
Is your main thing sort of not having to look stuff up in the index anymore?
Well, I still have to look stuff up, but I'm just really good at it.
Is that your thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
looking stuff
no
up.
more no more Dewey Decimal, right?
No, my answer to the question actually is so Unimatrix Zero is a sort of like a dream space that some of the Borg go in to like interact with each other while they're regenerating. And I think it would be cool to have, like, when you're sleeping, you go into this world where you can interact with all your friends and hang out with them while you sleep. I think that'd be fun.
Are you all just a dream? Remembering that nightmares are technically dreams.
Not sure if I'm your dream or your nightmare, David, but I'm one of them.
Oh, you're in all my sweetest dreams, Sarah. Don't you worry. Ryan, first of all, you were a DP. The DP virgin does not sound right.
You have no way of knowing that.
That was your first episode this evening. How was it for you?
Was it as good for you as it was for us?
Most everyone was very gentle. It was a lot of fun.
Got a bit rough around the end, I thought.
Well, it was a long one. I could tell people were getting a little sleepy toward the end of that one.
Story of my love life. Hey, Ryan, so tell us the answer to your question. What would for you would be the advantage of being assimilated?
Job flexibility. Like, you're not, like, in Starfleet, you're an engineer, you just work on the engine all day. But as a Borg, like, one day you're repairing, the next day you're, phasering. It's just whatever a drone's needed for. I like that kind of variety.
Phasering, that well-known job option on the Starfleet application form.
It's the only thing I really want to do.
It's the only thing we all want to do half the time. Particularly if we're in another boring meeting. Lita. Come on. What's the advantage for you?
I will never again have to ask or answer the question, what should we do for dinner?
Nice. Oh, do you know what? That could be. I'm really getting sold on this. Carl.
That would made it worth it. I mean,
Carl, now I just want to be clear with you, Carl. It's spelled assimilate, not assimilate. So what for you would be the advantage?
Well, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like when you're assimilated, your consciousness kind of goes into, like, another place, or you're, like, not conscious. It would be so great to just take a break from real life and just be a Borg for a little while, just like as a little vacation,
Yeah, I think it would be consciousness alteration, but do you think it would not be like transcendent rather than unconscious?
It's a good question. Either way,
Yeah,
sounds rad to me.
Sounds pretty awesome. Rip, Robbie.
So this comes with a caveat because like actual Borg assimilation requires loss of identity. But if there was like a way of stopping just short of that, I would actually really love like the ability to understand another person's point of view, especially someone I don't agree with, and like understand where they're coming from, even if, yeah.
Well, that raises some cool questions about the concept of identity and change over time, but we don't have time for that this evening. And finally, everybody's favorite eye-lined Troy, Zach, give us your answer, do.
I would love it because I would never have to have another canker sore, which are terrible, and my mom gave me them from genetics. Thanks, Mom. Love you. Bye-bye.
I'm glad it's from genetics and not something else.
Yes, genetics and acidic food. You know, just eat a bar of chocolate and suddenly, boom.
Oof.
That does not sound fun. My answer is that I would never worry about being late for work again.
That's
I mean,
true.
like, I would just like to lie in and not worry about that one morning. And like, if I break the alcove, I could be sorted. A reminder that we are back again in 4 weeks' time. We are now doing a 4-week cycle. Does anybody know what date that is off the top of their head?
No, but I can figure it out. Let's see.
Yeah, I could figure it out as well, but I'm trying to talk and look professional.
May 9.
May 9th.
May
Mother's Day in the US.
May the 9th and Mother's Day in the US, but not in the rest of the world because we all did it in March. So that's
What is our
May the 9th.
episode again? What is our episode on that date?
We are doing our Man Bashir, which is James Bond in space, but without actually breaching copyright. We're also going to need some ideas about who to fundraise for next. So if you do have ideas, feel free to pop those in the comments. We do read all your comments. We try to be sarcastic and respond to all of them. And we love getting feedback. It's really great that we've got a community out there who, for some reason, think that what we do is not completely insane. Man.
Or they do and watch us anyway.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're just a big psychology experiment and we didn't realize the consent forms were quite saying that. That is it for this week. Thanks very much for joining us for the best of both worlds, both parts. Thank you for your money for Sage. And we look forward to seeing you in 4 weeks' time for our Man Bashir. Until then, live long and prosper and ex astris beatitudo. Run credits, Carl. Press